So this article is about where the homelessness is more and less prevalent. So it says at least 330 million people face absolute homelessness today, according to the Institute of Global Homelessness. Um, 330 million. I thought it would be maybe possibly a billion. Um, this means hundreds of millions of people are living without access to any kind of shelter. While homelessness is tough to track precisely on a global scale, it spans various forms, including sleeping rough. The number of those experiencing it is rising every year. The UN highlights that the crisis, I guess the UN is the United Nations, shelter is even more widespread when taking into consideration the millions who are facing rising housing costs, unaffordable rents, evictions, energy poverty, and unsafe conditions. The prevalence of homelessness varies considerably by country, where homelessness is more and less prevalent. Number of people experiencing homelessness per 100,000 selected countries. Living on the streets or in public spaces, staying in temporary accommodations or shelters, either in gray. Wow, US got the highest number in red. Wow. England up there, France up there, only 8. Uh, But at least the vast majority of people in France are staying in temporary accommodation shelters. He said, wow, this article shows that U.S. face. Yeah, this good comment section really is going to be interesting because U.S. is say facing the most out in the street type homelessness, the worst kind. Japan had the lowest rate of people experiencing homelessness of the country studied. However, the country only reported data on the category of those on the streets, and it's so difficult to compare fairly. The data was collected using a method called point-in-time count, carried out over one day/night, and therefore presents a snapshot of the situation at a specific time for each country, rather than a definite number of people affected by homelessness. So 20,000 views, about 200 some comments. Let's check it out. 48 to 18, while in Gaza, due to the U.S. manufactured bombs, literally 100,000 households per 100,000 are experienced homelessness in 2025. All the countries with high Jews invasion from have homelessness. Look again at the top. France has most Jews in Europe, US and Mexico, North America. Let's see what else they say. California incentivizes it. That's what he says. 30 to 1. Wow. Wow. In the UK, they put invaders in four-star hotels and forced natives out to accommodate them. Wow. 14 to 0 by Slow Joe Crow. Hey, uh, so there's a Father Joe shelter in San Diego. Interesting. I didn't know. Your face noticed homelessness is a big business. The grifter class in the West, grifter class in the West, wow, is heavily involved in sucking up public monies to throw at the problem for huge salaries and contracts. While a few of those homeless are there because of bad luck, the majority are simply there because of choice. Wealthy societies generate higher levels of parasitism and self-abuse. Interesting, good points. 27-1. See what else they saying. 5 minutes in. Vote for 99 premium. So let's see the developed countries of the Western world, which seem to boast of the highest per capita wealth, are leading the world in homelessness. What's wrong with this picture? Wow. Wealth inequality. Pool shark. What's wrong with this picture? Question mark. Homelessness has more to do with chemical dependence and mental illness than economics. So the Utah Food Bank CEO gets 200,000 a year. Wow, food bank CEO. Interesting. It is noble to be concerned about the homeless, but it's become a racket to make the insiders rich. Mm. When just a rent or mortgage payment for shelter meets or exceeds a full-time minimum wage worker's earnings for the month, you might have a lot of homelessness. Wow. 23. Math. May have. You can never live off minimum wage earnings. Get training or take on more responsibilities to higher pay work. Pilgrim in a dark cloud world. There were no visible homeless people on the streets of London when I visited in 1989, but there was no DEI, no black and brown illegal alien hordes, no LGBTQ nonsense everywhere you turn, and real men were still in charge. Wow. I was in London. Two banana. It's almost like allowing getting millions of illegals causes homelessness. Wow. The term homeless is completely misused. Doesn't mean not owning a home, doesn't mean not renting a home. If you are in Section 8, you are homeless because the government is paying for it. Nursing home paid for by the Medicaid. Are you homeless? How is that different from being in a shelter? And if people in shelters are considered homeless, then why aren't people in prison considered homeless? Wow. Yeah, why aren't people? Interesting questions by user 262626. So are we referring to people who are on the streets? Or are we referring to people who don't have the living conditions they would like? If the latter, then that would be about 80% of the US population. People in apartments would generally refer to own. People in small homes want to live in bigger ones, etc. If we are referring to people on the streets, many of them want to be there. That choice may be due to mental illness or drug addictions, but it is still their choice. If you want proof, just ask the Popos or others who try to offer them the choice to be in shelters. The majority don't want to. Mm. But think about it, there ain't really any male shelters, mostly women shelters out here. Like with so many things, language and the definitions matter. I'm gonna look that up on Yelp. Or we could chat GPT to assess the scale of the issue which impacts prioritization, funding, and media attention. Yeah, how many Max chat GPT, how many men shelters are there versus women's shelters. 10 minutes in. Can't help people in their own countries because they need to support Ukraine and Israel. They throw the English out of their homes and give them to the illegals. Wow. Now subtract the illegal immigrant population in each country and rerun the numbers. Valid problem solved. Wow. Yeah, how is India not listed? Yeah, especially in India. They call it a homeless industrial complex. It's funneling taxpayer money. He said homelessness and drug abuse has exploded over the years. I can only hope other people in power take his lead. What lead? Yeah, right. I see only one man taking on the challenge, and let's get out of here. As if there was one bit of access housing in the UK before the international scammers arrived. Uh, is there a correlation between the homeless rate and the highest illegal immigration rate? Uh, all right, like, comment, subscribe, man. Holla. That's my article on reviewing where homeless is more or less prevalent. I'm surprised they don't have. Yeah, how is India especially not in here? How is India? Yeah, not in here. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, that's what it is, man. Holla.